How many days were you in this tree?
I was 40 days and 40 nights in the tree. If you read all the mystical traditions, including, I think, your man Hafiz on your bookshelf, but in all the mystical traditions, there seems to be a time when the mystics are drawn to be alone in nature. And, Jesus went for 40 days and 40 nights. The Buddha went to the grove. There's accounts of it all along the way. And so I wanted to go and have that experience myself. And I'm not saying I'm a mystic, but my question was, why did all of the mystics go to be in total solitude in nature? And so with a lockdown in the world, suddenly I had 6 weeks where I could go and do that, go and sit in that question and see what answers came to me during that time. The first was that initially there was a tremendous anxiety. The first couple of days, I had a lot of thoughts around, I'm going to be away, I'm going to miss something, I'm not attending to. And then after 3 days, that all dropped. And I know the Aboriginal people have this amazing saying that modern culture is 3 days deep. And after 3 days, I felt myself go into a different state of consciousness. I just realized it doesn't matter. And then I started to attune myself to the natural world. And a few things happened. The one is that a big insight was that where your attention goes, your life goes. And if you're constantly putting your attention on living things, there's more aliveness in your own life. That was one. The second was that if you spend time in nature in the same spot over a period of time, it starts to become incredibly personal. So it's not just a bird or that antelope, it's that bird that roosts in that bush and flies down the riverbed in the morning and back up the southern bank, and then it feeds for grubs in this tree. And as you start to become more personally attuned to each animal, you start to see that there's a pattern to their movement. And in fact, then you start to find yourself orientated inside of a series of interlocking intelligences. That is really what the natural world is. And then at some point, you realize that I'm not observing this intelligence that I'm watching unfold around me. I am fundamentally a part of this. And it stops being a mental construct, and you start to feel yourself inside of that intelligence. And that's a very, very deep experience, or at least it was for me. And I think that is why at a certain point, the mystics went to go and get quiet enough to feel themselves inside of that incredible field of intelligence that is the natural world. I had just radical encounters every day. And I think that's another thing about the natural world is, things happen. And as things happen each day, it almost like it helps you make meaning. And in a society, the societies of the modern world are almost becoming devoid of the structures that allow us to make meaning, but the natural world is full of encounter. And that encounter generates an aliveness and a relational meaning-making quality that just makes life feel very, very rich. And we lived like that for thousands of years before we lived on Discord.
Were there any other aspects of the experience that were particularly surprising to you in any way, or any other rules that you set for yourself that proved either fruitless or fruitful?
I mean, the one encounter that comes to mind, and there were many, is lots of solo hours tracking, which felt very special. But on one of the nights, I got caught in a storm. A thunderstorm rolled in, and the heat built all through the afternoon. And I could see the storm building out over the western horizon. And it started to look menacing, and then even more menacing. And I was living on a flat platform up in the tree. And eventually the wind started to howl and blow, and then the mother and the father of a thunderstorm broke around me. And, the lightning bolts were coming around me, and I don't know if you've ever been very close to lightning strikes, but the first thing is that you just hear it go like this, and then the blade comes down, and then the sound goes sonic. But if you're close enough to it, it actually clicks as it hits the ground. Boom! And it started to come down around me, torrential rain, and blades of lightning lighting up around me. And the sound was just so intense. And it was just monstrous. And I was cast into a deep and overwhelming fear. And I realized that
I can imagine. Yeah.
I realized that true fear is kind of a rare experience in modern life. It's so different to neuroses.
Terror, right? Terror is it's a very distinct thing.
It's so distinct to all my anxiety, all the things I worry about. But true raw, I don't know if we make it out of this fear is actually a very rare encounter in life. And, it would not end. I just kept saying to myself, like, you can't be this scared for so long. Surely it's just going to pass. And then like another hour and another hour. And I just kind of weathered it. And I felt an incredible, I guess it's talked about a lot, but an incredible fragility and an incredible humility. And then the next day when I came out of it, I also felt like, oh God, that scared me so much, but I would do it again, just to like on the other side of it, to have been like in a storm like that felt very, very, very special. I felt like a profound encounter with the force of nature.
Do you think you will ever do an extended period solo like that again? I don't know if you were totally solo. I have no idea if you were solo, or it was like solo most of the time, but a few people would come out and say hi every once in a while. But do you maybe you could clarify that, but do you think you would repeat an experiment like that? Why or why not? Not necessarily in a tree, but that degree of solitude.
I mean, without a shadow of a doubt, it is one of the most beautiful things I've ever done. And I don't know if I will do 6 weeks again, but I will certainly try and get 10 days solo in nature a year with no other people. And in this one, I didn't see other people. I was totally by myself. And, there's amazing things that happen when you're by yourself. One is, getting really into your own energy, just being in your own energetic field, then being attuned to nature and feeling your body start to attune to those rhythms, watching the stars move through the sky all night and feeling yourself naturally wake up with the dawn and go to sleep when it gets dark and feeling your whole circadian rhythm attuned to that. Funny things happen. Like on the one day I banged my head. I had a trunk which had dry goods in it, but I banged my hand on the trunk. And I was like, God, damn it. And I flew into a rage. I flew into a rage because it was so painful. And then I realized that with no one else around, I couldn't maintain my state of anger. And it's a really weird thing, like sulking, being angry and sulking and moods and all of that stuff is really for the benefit of other people. It's really so that other people can get tuned in to like what a difficult time you're having. But when you're by yourself, they just do not abide because there's no one around to like stay in the story for.